Now, you're probably wondering why or how possibly could you get misalignment from actually having a strong clarity of direction. We hear it all the time with our team members, with ourselves, knowing where you're going, what the end goal is, and that type of stuff can be really, really important. But in so many situations, driving towards getting that clarity of direction can actually be the exact thing that misaligns you. I'll explain it to you right after this, exactly why. So many times we get into a situation where we feel a little bit lost. We feel a little bit like our judgment's being clouded. Maybe we feel a little bit flat and we feel like everything's happening. Maybe you're feeling like that right now, where you feel a little bit like you're doing stuff, you're doing things, you're getting a little bit busy all the time, which is fantastic in so many avenues. But it's also one of the reasons that we can feel a little bit jaded or a little bit misaligned. Maybe it's a little bit of a boring, I need something new, something fresh, right? We have these feelings at various parts of our journey. So when you stop and think, why am I in that situation? A lot of people might feel it's they don't like the people around them, they don't like this, they're not a big fan of such and such. But a lot of the time it's actually because they have a lack of understanding where they're actually going, lack of focus, a lack of direction to what's going to, what they're going to be working with. Now, we have numerous clients who we work with at various times that feel that their team's in that situation, feel like their team, is not aligned to where the business is going. Or they might even, occasionally, I know a couple of weeks ago, we had a new client come on board and they literally said, I've got these two team members that just aren't aligned with the rest of our team. They're not on the same journey or the same path. Now, there's a lot of things going on there that we're working with and helping out with straight away. But one of the first things we need to be able to have a look at is, do we actually have a direction, a pathway, a plan for those team members to make sure they understand where they're going? Do they actually know what their journey of professional development looks like? Do they have a feel of what's going to occur with the team, with the business, how that sits for them, how that looks for them? All of these different things come into the equation. But one thing that's always prevalent in these type of discussions or thought processes is the fact that there is a clarity of direction either present or not present. Having the team members engage is super important, but having them engage with the team as a whole and themselves individually is critical. So we always hear about how important it is to have an understanding of where you're going, to know that you're on the right path, to be able to reverse engineer. We hear that, you got to find out what it looks like at the end and reverse engineer those steps. What does he ultimately want in 5 years or 10 years? And some people take it out to the nth degree and start talking all about their vision and, and you end up holding hands in a circle, singing Kumbaya and talking about jelly beans and rainbows and unicorns and all of this lovely stuff and wishy-washy. But when we pare it all back, it comes down to having a clarity of direction and understanding that. But the flip side to this is also the fact that if you search too hard and try and define this too much and actually know exactly what it's like, what it has to be, etc., you can actually find that it misaligns you. Now, a great example of this is what happened with my very first business coach, 14, 15 years ago, something like that, a long, long time ago. And look, he did a lot of great things with me and for me and helped me out a massive amount. And I've got a lot of gratitude for him, regardless of the way the relationship might have ended and his subsequent basic disappearing from the industry. But anyway, we won't get into that. The fact of the matter is he tried to originally start off by making me take all of my visions and goals out 10 years. It had to be 10 years. It had to be bigger than Ben-Hur. We had to create this vision that would scare you because, apparently it would get you out of bed in the morning. But he used to say things like this. He'd say, it's not just good enough to say you want a big house, Jason, but you've got to know exactly how many rooms and how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms and en-suites. You've got to go even further. You've got to know what the color of the walls are in the bedrooms. And I'd be sitting back going, really? Like, this is the secret to success? I've got to be that clear in my direction that I know that in 10 years' time, I'm going to know what color I need to have on the walls in a bedroom of a house that I don't know anything. And I'm like, wow. And so here's the thing. It actually drove me to the point where I invested. In fact, it wasn't invested. I spent so much time and effort trying to get this unknown quantity and clarity around this so-called vision and direction that it actually created analysis paralysis, right? And so we know from, sales that, a confused mind buys nothing. If we offer a client 6 different options, it's like a deer in the headlights. They don't know what to sort of say or what's best. They're asking for us for guidance. So for me in that situation, and no doubt for everyone else since it, when we talk about this, and you're probably feeling the same, is that if you try and actually get for so much certainty of direction as you move through this process, you can actually do yourself a disservice, because before you know it, you get completely misaligned to what actually needs to be done. So I found myself investing huge amounts of time trying to work out what color I wanted and my color schemes. But then if I do this, then that, and then I'd try and, you end up designing your dream house of exactly what it looks like and where it has to be and what suburb. And before you know it, you've actually completely misaligned yourself with what needs to happen next. You get yourself actually further away from the actions and the items that need to be done right now that will even step you 1 step or 1 meter or 1 year ahead to that point. So if you want to go to the nth degree on this, I'd just put a little moment of caution out there and say, I don't know whether that's going to be the best thing for you right now. Having an amazingly clear clarity of direction 5 or 10 years in advance is actually going to be a disservice to you. And so what you need to keep understanding here, and I'm just going to draw here, which is pretty cool because it's going to actually sit, for those that are watching this and not listening, you can actually see it appearing beside me. It's pretty cool, a little trick here. Action drives clarity. And this is something that I've really come to understand in the last sort of 3 or 4 years with one of my mentors at the moment. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, you can invest a huge amount of time, money, and effort into better understanding what you think is the direction you need, getting that clarity. Even looking with your business 12 or 18 months in advance, etc., can actually, in many times, misalign you, because all of a sudden you start looking at the bells and whistles. You start looking at things that might just start to be a distraction. You're looking at all of the parts of this process that are actually going to take you away from the logical next steps of improvement and moving forward. Because what you need right now is momentum. What you need right now is to actually take more action. And very, very rarely, if ever, will you find someone who is absolutely crystal clear on the direction that they need to take. Yes, they might know that in 10 years' time they want to own 3 properties and they want to be married with kids and drive a Ferrari and have 2 international holidays each year. And that's enough clarity for everything that you need to be doing in the next 5 or 10 years. But trying to drive this forward with this hell-bent avenue that you have to be crystal clear about your vision. You have to be crystal clear about where you're going, what you're doing, what it looks like. Otherwise you won't ever get there. That's a load of rubbish. All right? It's simple as that. Please don't go down that avenue. Have a general understanding of what it looks like. Maybe you do know you want a 2-story house, 5 bedrooms, you want 3 cars, you want to be able to go and travel, etc. Have that type of clarity. That's important. But just be wary of following blindly the direction of getting crystal clear clarity for yourself personally or your business, because it's going to misalign you from what you actually need to do next. When you actually take that action, all right, and I said it before, it's there on the screen, action drives clarity. When you have some point of understanding where you're going roughly, I would strongly encourage you to start taking action. Get momentum. Start to move forward. And this becomes exceptionally critical in our health industry. As you start to drive forward as a physiotherapist or a podiatrist or an exercise physiologist, etc., you start to actually understand that you might not have had the perfect alignment, right? You might have gone, oh, well, I always wanted to be a physio, right? Well, great. You are a physio and moving forward. But what if you start to realize that you want to actually work with sports teams, or maybe you actually want to work as a women's health physio and you always thought you'd be a sports physio. Maybe you always were hell-bent on becoming the sports physiotherapist for the Australian cricket team. And once you got into the actual industry and you started looking at things and learning more, you actually realize that you're fascinated by the female body anatomy and menstrual cycles and hormones and pelvis and pelvic floor, and all of a sudden you actually want to be really focused in on that area. Now, if you have spent a huge amount of time and effort, potentially months or years, working on getting this original clarity, all of a sudden there's going to be a huge disjoint of where you're going and what you feel you need to do, because you've always needed to achieve this and this is where you're going, but in actual fact it's not what you want. And this is where the misalignment occurs. If you took the other approach and said, hey, I want to be physio, I'm thinking about doing it this way, but I know that I need to just take action, then here's the avenue. Take action. Go ahead right now and make sure that you actually get the action that you need right now, such as become the physio, start learning, start developing, get that extra experience, and understand that the more action you take and the more momentum that you gain right now, the more you're going to actually be able to drive that clarity. Because the more you do sports coverage or the more you actually learn about women's health, the more it's going to shape the clarity for you. So again, that action is going to drive the clarity, what you like, what you dislike, what the pros are, what the cons are. So here's the thing, rather than just thinking about it, rather than just trying to get clarity, doing pie in the sky, wishy-washy, singing kumbaya and getting this absolute clarity in reverse engineering, I strongly encourage you to have a base understanding of that direction, but then take action, get momentum, start to learn more, start to get the action steps in place and see what things actually are like. Go ahead, complete more tasks, learn more, get more experience, do projects, and understand that the more action you take repetitively over time will start to drive that clarity of what you ideally want in the long term. And what you'll notice is you get there quicker, you get there a lot more efficiently and effectively, and you enjoy the journey. And you don't realize that, oh, I've just actually wasted the last 2 years doing blah, blah, blah. So here's the thing, action drives clarity. Don't get washed up in this whole, you've got to be crystal clear on your vision and your goals and your 10-year this and the paint on the color on the wall, etc., like I did and so many other people are. Don't get washed up in that. Start taking general steps forward in the direction that you know you're going to take, and start taking more action, because it's the action that will drive and unveil the clarity that you so badly desire and want over time. Hope that helps. Go and take more action, be quicker to implement, get more momentum, and you watch the clarity of your direction appear as a net result of the actions that you take right now. I'll talk to you again very soon. Hey guys, thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Profitable Practice Podcast. I would love nothing more than for you to be able to leave a review. I get so much joy out of listening and reading the amazing things that you guys say about this. So please subscribe to our channel, leave a review, and share it with your friends. Let's get some more fantastic information out there so all of us can grow the industry together. Cheers for now.